Hello there, what's going on everyone? Today we finally got some cool new news for Star Wars Legion. We've got our Shoretroopers and we've got our Dewbacks just announced. Huge stuff, so we're going to take a look at these. I do want to remind you guys to make sure you are subscribed and click that bell for alerts because we're going to be having a lot of new coverage coming out of Star Wars Celebration. I will be there. If you're there, come by and say hi. I'll be at the FFG booth. We'll probably have these guys on display also because they tend to show off new stuff in those glass cases at the FFG booth, so hopefully we'll get a close-up look at these guys as well. So let's take a look at the Shoretroopers because they look really, really cool. I love these sculpts. We get a close-up look of the unit card here. So let's go ahead and just take a look. They seem to mirror the Rebel veterans in that they're going to get a secondary unit card, and that's that big dude with the mortar, right? So that looks really cool. And so you're going to, again, great value here, right? You're going to get two whole units for one expansion, so that's going to be good. Looks like the unit itself is going to cost 52, and then the other one's going to be 36. For the Shoretrooper unit proper, you're going to be able to get heavy weapons, personnel, training, gear, grenades. You're unarmed as a black die. You're going to get a black die at range 1 to 3 for your ranged attack, but we're going to get no surge of any kind. So that is going to be a really interesting aspect to these guys. They're a little more expensive, and you're getting black dice, but you're not getting any surge. But you are getting that red defense die, so that's always good. Only 1 health and 1 courage. You've got coordinate with emplacement trooper. Again, after you are issued an order, you may issue an order to a friendly emplacement trooper at range 1. So that's going to obviously work with themselves, but that could also work with E-webs. And you've got target 1 after you're issued an order, gain an aim token. And that kind of helps offset that lack of offensive surge. I mean, black dice aren't half bad. Black dice with an aim is going to be pretty good. It's going to be really interesting to kind of think about the different types of builds that you can use these guys in. I think one of the best things that you're going to use them for is if you're trying to do a thematic like Rogue One type battle, here's a great option for you. Or if you're interested in painting some Imperials that have a little bit of color on them and it's still canon, this would be a really great option if you're trying to have, teach somebody to paint for the first time because they're so kind of dirty and rough, because of that. They just look like they have that dirty feel to them. They're going to be a little different than the standard Stormtroopers. But as far as the unit itself, I like that Imperials are getting a black die for a core unit because they notoriously have had only white dice, but the offensive surge kind of helps mitigate that. Here, they have a better die without the offensive surge. Still, mathematically, you're getting more dice, but, and you're paying for that. They're 52 points. You're definitely paying for it. And, of course, you want to issue these guys orders, and they get an aim token for that. This will actually combo really well with Coordinated Fire, the new Imperial 3-pip. That's going to be really interesting for Shoretroopers. I'll be interested to see how many people are taking Shoretroopers by themselves or how many people are taking Shoretroopers with the extra heavy weapon. Now, we also can see the T-21B Trooper there as range 1 to 4 heavy weapons. That adds, it looks like 2 black and a white, and has a special critical, looks like critical 3. So it looks like it's giving you a certain amount of surges that can, convert to a crit, but not all of them. So looks really cool. But let's also not forget they also announced a Dewback today. So we've got to take a look at this Dewback because this thing is incredible looking. First off, can we pause and just look at the sculpt for a minute? Here is a beautiful Dewback. Reminds me in a lot of ways of the same Dewback kind of pose we had in Imperial Assault, but definitely the model looks to be of much higher quality. I'm very impressed by this. It also looks like we're going to get a couple of different tops for our Sand Trooper who's riding him, so you can build him multiple different ways. So that also is very cool. Now, onto the Dewback card itself. The Dewback Rider card, it looks to be about 90 points, so it's not going to be cheap. We're going to have only a few upgrades, so we can take training, we can take comms, and we can take a config. That little gun option there is always nice. Now, we do have a really nice melee attack. We're rolling 6 dice for melee, critical 2, and suppressive. Really, really cool melee attack. These guys are going to be very strong if they can get to you, but you're paying for that with 90 points. That's not cheap for, a single unit. Now, they do have 6 health and 2 courage, so they're not as quick to run away, and they do have an offensive surge to hit, but no defensive surge. But they're made up for that with the fact that they have the red defense die. And there's armor 1 here, which is different than armor. You're seeing while defending, you can cancel up to 1 hit. So we've seen this also on, the similar thing on the Rebels version, the Rebels speeder. So armor 1, so this makes up for that, like that padded armor that they have. They've got Relentless, so a free attack after they move. They've only speed 1, but Relentless helps make speed 1 work. And they've got Reposition, so you get the free pivot before or after you do a move. They've got Spur, so while performing a move, you can gain a suppression and increase your speed by 1, so that looks kind of cool. So now you can go up to speed 2. And of course, Unhindered, which will really help, especially if they're going to go speed 2. This Dewback rider looks actually really, really fun to use. Now, he does have a bigger base, so he might not be the easiest to maneuver around the battlefield. So, this is kind of comes into terrain building, I think, a little bit. You don't want to clutter up your terrain too much that you don't have room for larger units to move through. But at the same time, you also don't want to have wide open areas that kind of make the gameplay stale. So I think having more really large bases is going to kind of emphasize that balance of, we need to make sure there's enough room for everybody to move through, but at the same time, we need to keep the battlefield interesting and offer a lot of, a lot of different heights, a lot of different cover, because we want our troops to be able to have cover. We want blocking terrain, all of that stuff. But I think the fact that it's such a big base is going to be really fun. But yeah, that melee attack, going speed 2, then another, move speed 1, you can then pivot, and then speed 2, and then charge, do that big 6-die melee attack. That's going to be nasty. It does look like we get a couple of different riders for the top also. We're getting a flamethrower. Looks like he's range 1. We're getting another guy that's range 1 to 4, and then a range 1 to 3 with 3 white dice and critical 2. So we're going to have some ranged attacks as well. But the melee attack is really where it's at. So you don't even have to give it, a rider who's shooting a ranged attack. You can totally just go with vanilla, Dewback with unarmed stormtrooper on the top, which is going to be kind of interesting. I think a lot of people will want to give it that ranged attack just so it has that option, especially with Relentless, so you can get that free shot. I think the blast and that looks like that flame trooper on top looks like that will be really fun. But yeah, spray is always a nasty ability on anybody. We can't quite see the dice there, but I'm sure it will be deadly. I think the melee attack is going to be definitely the best way to go for this particular guy. More creatures in game is fun. And that's all I've got for you. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, we'll get a closer look at these once previews actually come out closer to their release. But a lot of people were guessing Dewbacks were coming, and I couldn't be more thrilled. This is really, really cool news. I'm very happy to see this. Very anxious to get these on the table. Creatures, and more creatures. I am all about the creatures. Let me know what creatures you want to see next. I'm still holding out hope for a Rancor. Would absolutely love to see it. Maybe even a Wampa too, but more so a Rancor, especially if it's a wild Rancor. I want Rancors in this game so bad. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. Stay tuned for more information from Star Wars Celebration later this week. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.